All right, we're live. Hey guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. I am so glad that you're here. Leah is running a little bit behind because she was outside giving snacks to our animals. So you get Michelle briefly alone until she gets here. So today is October 1st. It's the 1st of October. Welcome to the month of October. We're going to cover a lot of terror attacks for today. But while we're waiting for, sorry, there's myself trying to pull up the chat here. While we're waiting for everybody to get here, I thought I would start out with actually covering who is Henry Bolton. So, like I said, we're going to get to the terror attacks in a minute, but while we're waiting for everybody, including Leah, to arrive, a lot of us have been wondering, especially in the United States, who is this new UKIP leader? We're very excited about the UKIP party. It's really going to become integral that the UKIP party has a really strong voice because the pushback against Brexit right now is stronger than it has been since, I think, the vote. So who is this guy? Nigel Farage seems to think that he's fantastic, but why? So I wanted to go straight to let's see. Yeah, I think this is the Robin Hood UKIP footage. And this was actually a video that he put together before he was actually picked as the leader, but still it gives us a good backstory for who he is. So hopefully I've got the volume up here enough.
A former police officer. I headed the international police in central Croatia. I led intelligence operations and operations to disrupt transnational organised crime targeting the United Kingdom.
I'll turn that up.
I think in the shape of Henry Bolton, we must have the best qualified candidate for Police and Crime Commissioner for any party in the entire United Kingdom.
It says that his contributions to counterterror have also been recognized by the Queen. And that's what they're showing here for those of you that just listened to our show.
For services to international security and stabilization.
Which was presented to him by Her Royal Highness, the Princess Anne.
So to be able to do it, to give the honours yourself in place of Her Majesty was a treat from my point of view.
I served 27 months in northern Helmand, Afghanistan, leading coalition efforts in the northern districts of Helmand in relation to the rule of law. What we want is a practical, efficient government to account. To hold it to account for the impact its decisions and its cuts have on the ability of the police in Kent to keep people of Kent safe. So if you ask me, ladies and gentlemen, whether Britain is safer outside the European Union,
I think this is really key.
I am unambiguously clear. Yes, Britain is safer outside the European Union.
So that's that one. Like I said, if you're just now joining us, Leah is as well. She's coming here shortly. But while we're waiting for everybody to arrive with their live notifications, I want to go over who is Henry Bolton. So that is one link that I wanted to share. I think Britt Baza shared that one with me. And then I'm still hearing myself talk here. Sorry, I've got you guys up on the chat. But this is another one. The title is Promote British Values, Hold Traitors to Account. But it's a little bit more than that. I felt that his words here were really, really strong. So after doing more research on who Henry Bolton is, I kind of am in the same camp, at least as far as Brexit and Islamic terror and migration and things like that goes. I really do believe that he is the guy for the UKIP party. So let's hope this volume's not.
He's an sort of expert on security. How do you see the jihadi threat? How do you think we
How do you see the jihadi
How
threat?
do you assess the government's performance on that?
Three questions. First of all, the jihadist threat is serious, and I think getting a great deal more serious. Islamic State are under huge pressure in Iraq and in Syria. They have been in Libya. These sort of organisations need to demonstrate that they are active and effective in order to recruit and to gain donors. It's the same as a political party, really. So they need to demonstrate that they're engaging. the obvious way for them to do that is to embark upon a serious campaign in Europe and in this country. First point is we have to secure our borders. We have no national border strategy. There's nothing to bring cohesion together on our borders, and there's no plan for our borders going forward. You know, even Albania has a border strategy.
I like this part.
I know, because I helped write it.
Meaning he already knows how to do that sort of
which
thing.
Which is a massive hole in our security. We're cutting back on policing, and one of the first things to go in the cuts of policing is the intelligence capability. The backroom functions are being lost. So there are a range of things that we can do. And I think we also need to look at the foreign funding here. We need to stop Qatari and Saudi and Wahhabi funding of independent schools and of mosques.
And why are you guys funding?
Ensure, rather like a Church of England
that
vicar,
stuff?
that imams are trained here, they're funded here, they're licensed here, they understand the British way of life,
like
British
this.
culture, and we need to start to assimilate our immigrant communities a lot more effectively into British society. Anybody who carries a British passport
This is so key to
should
me.
understand what it means to be British. And it's not about getting some sort of welfare payments or something like that. It's about being British and buying into the British identity. And on that, I think we should revamp the Treason Act, take it out of the Public Order Act, and make it fit for purpose to hold anybody
kind of a big deal.
Embarks upon
The Treason
planning, preparing, or committing a terrorist offence. They are traitors. They are not terrorists. They're not criminals. They are traitors.
Wow. They're not terrorists, they're not criminals, they are traitors. And I thought that was really, really important.
Man.
Leah, here's Leah climbing over the cords. I have one more short clip that I'm going to cover just because it gives you a better idea of his opinion on like radical Islam. It's a pretty hard line. And so I'm glad that this guy is now the leader of UKIP.
I am well aware of this. I have fought Islam. I have been blown off my feet by an Islamic suicide bomber.
That's good to know.
I have been on the sharp end. Okay? I have seen, in the Republic of Tajikistan, I have seen that country go from a very moderate Islamic country in Central Asia to a much more hardline one in the space of about 6 years. And I have seen other things in some of the intelligence work that I've done, which I'm happy to tell you about offline, but not in a broad audience, not on camera.
That makes sense.
Okay? I know that there are foreign countries funding, and I'm going to not call it terrorism, but the replacement of moderate Islam around Europe by hardline fundamental Islam with a propensity towards violence.
They're replacing modern Islam with a hardline Islam everywhere, all over Europe.
I know that, and I know that in some of our communities we have lost the British identity. Okay, we've got schools where they're almost 100% Islamic. We've got
entire schools. They've got Islamic schools. They're funding this.
We don't agree on this issue. But I tell you what, if we want to deal with Brexit, if we want to deal with the other things as well, we've got to have a broad and comprehensive political platform. And it does include, for me, and that's why I'm in this party, Britain, the British people, the British way of life, British values, and what we have always stood for. And my grandfather, my great uncle fought in World War I. I fought for our country, okay? And so I know I don't want in any way to lose that character and spirit of this country.
So there you have it. Those are just a couple of short clips for who Henry Bolton is. I know that he kind of has more of a liberal-leaning past. However, to me, these are very, very important issues. They're Brexit and protecting your country and making Britain British again and not making it a complete Islamic state are way more important than social issues, in my opinion. So I'm behind this guy, Nigel's behind this guy, so I wanted to give you guys, especially here in the United States, a little peek into who is Henry Bolton, the new UKIP leader. And Britt Bada tends to think he might make a great prime minister one day. I know a lot of people are going for Nigel, but a lot of people think that this guy might make it, so you never know. So there is that. Now we're going to go straight into the French attacks. There's an RT article there that we can play.
Okay, so we have a lot to cover in Europe today. There have been many attacks. There's been attacks in Canada. And we're going to go here to
France.
To France.
Marseille, I think.
Yeah.
And we start with some breaking news from France, where prosecutors have launched a terror probe after a knife attack left 2 women dead in Marseille's main train station. Well, for more details on this, let's cross live now to our correspondent, Charlotte Dubensky. Well, hi there, Lottie. I mean, what more do we know now?
Well, we know that those 2 women were killed following that knife attack in the station at Marseille, the main station, Saint-Charles. So we understand that the man who was wielding that knife actually slit the throat of one of the women. That's how she died. And apparently, according to passers-by, he screamed out, Allah Akbar, or God is the greatest, while he was carrying out that attack. Now, the security services at the station were able to respond fairly quickly and shot the man dead at the scene. And what we understand now is that this is being treated, or a probe has been launched and treating this as an anti-terror organisation. And what the prosecutor's office has said in Paris is that while the motives are not yet clear, what they're doing is that they're treating this as a killing linked to a terrorist organisation. So 2 women dead, including one who had her throat slit by that attacker before the attacker was shot dead at the scene. Now, the security services have been praised for reacting and responding so quickly to this attack, with officials on the ground saying they feared that this could have been far worse had they not. And those security services are part of some 7,000 troops who are deployed across France and have been for the last few years, as the country has been under a state of high emergency since January 2015. That's when the offices of the satirical newspaper Charlie Hebdo were attacked, with 12 people being killed. And then the country was put into a state of emergency in November 2000.
The Charlie Hebdo, what they were referring to, many of you know.
Sorry.
Oh, Michelle's trying to fix our little battery pack there. The office, the reporter's office, was ransacked and people were killed over Mohammed drawings.
2015, after that deadly night of attacks in Paris, where around 130 odd people were killed in a coordinated series of attacks. Now, since then, France has seen a number of attacks, including in Nice, which is also in the south of France, and this year in 2017, a number of smaller attacks. It means now that since January 2015, more than 230 people have been killed in France in terror attacks. Now, the current president, Emmanuel Macron, wants to end that state of emergency in France and wants to do so by November of this year, so just next month. And in fact, this week, the first draft of his new controversial legislation, which will consolidate some of the powers that some of the security forces have had under that state of emergency, will be consolidated into their jobs as normal, will actually be voted on this week. But the latest in France is that that anti-terror probe has been launched after 2 women were killed, including one woman who had her throat slit. The perpetrator, the man who carried out those attacks, was shot dead at the scene by the security services.
Indeed, that's France correspondent Charlotte Dubensky. Thank you.
Okay, so this is quite disturbing, but this is not just one. And I don't know if you guys saw the ticker at the bottom. We are going to cover the Catalonian elections.
Sorry, guys.
Spain has
bear with me.
Brought out the big guns, and we're going to show you some of those videos. So, 2 people have been killed, and
the cops shot the guy. Dead.
Yeah, so
that's good.
Of course this
but now you're not going to get any
was
information out of it.
reportedly shouting Allahu Akbar, but they're not going to call it terror, just maybe terror linked.
Well, I don't know, though. I think they were saying that it is terror, and I was thinking that what she was saying there was actually kind of a good thing. The reason that they're launching this terror probe is that it actually is linked to a terrorist organization, and they're not coming right out and saying this was a lone wolf, which I think is very telling. I think that's actually a good thing. Maybe they might find more out if they really do already think it's linked to a terrorist organization rather than some insane guy, which is what we usually hear. It's the first thing. Right. It's a lone wolf. They weren't no, it's not Muslim. They're not attached to any kind of group. You know, so I found that a little bit encouraging.
Of course, President Macron denounced it as a barbarous attack.
What a loser. I mean, seriously, 2 women are killed. One of them had their throat slit, and it's not a barbarous attack.
If the military hadn't have been there.
Oh, okay. No, it says he's denounced it. I thought you said as a barbarous
he
attack.
He said he's
okay.
upset by this
Never
barbarous
mind.
attack. That's all he's calling it.
Okay.
That's all he's saying.
I misunderstood. I thought he was saying, like, no, it's not terror.
No.
I'm with you.
Okay. All right.
Sorry, I'm ready to get angry at the guy already.
If the military had not been there, we would have seen a lot more deaths. And that is absolutely true. So
they took the guy out. I mean, he's dead. But unfortunately, like I just said, you can't get information out of the dead guy.
Right, right. 2 victims, I don't know, they told the age, 17 and 20, suffered gory injuries.
It said some 200 police officers have cordoned off the area and all roads are closed were closed to traffic. The operation, which the investigation I think they mean, is still ongoing.
The suspect was known to authorities for common law crimes. So, of course, he was known.
Wow.
Right.
All right.
Okay,
what's next?
so
there's more terror attacks. It's not just in France.
Yeah, we're gonna. It's a little bit haphazard here, guys. While I go through some things, but
in Canada, the guy was driving the car
right here.
Okay.
All right. So I have the video. I think I tweeted that out just recently. A police officer was rammed through a barricade. And then the police officer actually tried to like wrestle him, I think, and
chaos in Canada. The stabbing of an officer and a high-speed chase that left several people injured are now being investigated as acts of terror. First, police say a driver plowed into a police car in Edmonton outside of a football game, stabbing the officer several times before running off. Police believe there was an ISIS flag inside of that suspect's car. Later, police going on a high-speed chase when they thought they spotted the suspect driving a white U-Haul. The van running into a group of pedestrians before flipping over, injuring 4 people. Police arresting the suspect, who they believe acted alone.
There it is with the lone terror.
Right, yeah, there it is. There it is with the lone terror.
But this is in Canada. I'm guessing that was last night because it was dark out. I haven't had much opportunity to research it other than like brief headlines, but I'm guessing that was last night.
I'm trying to find Sheila from, let's see. All right, so the terror suspect drives U-Haul into crowd in Edmonton, says Canada Police. A suspect who allegedly attacked a police officer with a knife and later drove a U-Haul truck into pedestrians in Edmonton, Alberta, is being investigated for acts of terrorism. He was the 30-year-old man was detained after a high-speed chase through streets. We're going to go over this again because this is the print version. Edmonton Police Chief Rod Kicks told reporters that the suspect was in custody and that they think he acted alone, but they aren't ruling out the possibility of others being involved.
Grabbing a U-Haul truck is a pretty big deal. This isn't just a car. Okay,
Right.
That's gigantic.
But what's interesting is it started outside of the Edmonton Eskimos football game.
10 p.m. last night.
And then there was this police station. The vehicle rammed a traffic control barricade and sent an officer flying into the air.
Wow.
Connects says the driver of the vehicle then got out and viciously stabbed the officer several times with a knife before fleeing.
Oh
the officer was taken to the hospital and treated for non-life-threatening injuries.
Well, that's good.
I think there's a video. I'm just going to try to look up Sheila here because she was the one that tweeted it out just recently.
I know I sent you one on Facebook too.
There was a video that they did let out of this. Here we go. This is, you guys can't see it. You won't be able to see it. It's too blurry.
Okay. So that's
a car. I don't know. We're still putting this together here because obviously this isn't the.
Well, I don't know because I think then he probably went and got into the U-Haul. I'm going to guess that he was driving the car because it says he drove into the police barricade.
Right.
It's a dog. 944-3756. So they're wrestling here. You can't see it behind. No, that might be the dog.
I don't know. I really can't see what's going on. I do think that they said that he did wrestle the guy.
It looks like wrestling.
Yeah, there's wrestling
it's
going on.
It's probably behind your head. They probably can't even see it.
Oh, yeah, I think they can. I don't know. But you probably can't see it. Michelle can see what's going on. It's really blurry here. I mean, obviously it's like a parking garage footage.
No, that definitely looks like wrestling. Yeah, because here comes like another person. Yeah, then that guy just got up.
Then he gets away, and then the police officer. So somebody starts running, and the police officer. That's the police officer there. The last guy up. So I don't know. This is crazy stuff going on. Obviously, Allah Akbar, ISIS, craziness.
But they got that guy in Canada.
Yeah. Well, yeah, obviously through the U-Haul truck.
Right.
I'm sorry we're all over the board on this.
Go and open up the one that I sent you on Facebook.
Okay. In the message?
Yeah, right there.
Okay.
Keep going. No, I'm right here. I'm already up. This is me.
This one? Yeah, these are all like breaking news. Terror attack horror in Canada as driver with ISIS flag deliberately rams pedestrians.
You could play that and see what it.
Yeah, several have been injured and driver smashed through a barricade before jumping on the vehicle and repeatedly stabbing the officer.
Let's see. I think earlier Baza was like, yeah, Trudeau is the one that let these guys in. Keep that in mind.
So, yeah.
St. Margaret the Evangelist. The blood is on Trudeau's hands. Very true.
Yeah, definitely. So several, okay, here's kind of how this went down, I guess. This is all the police at the end here.
It's only a 15-second video.
The car was deliberately driven at pedestrians outside the American football game in Edmonton. The motorist drove at high speed towards a police checkpoint outside the game, crashed through the barricade, hit the police officer, sending him flying 15 feet into the air. The driver then jumped out and viciously attacked and injured the officer, stabbing him several times before running away. Just hours later, police investigating the earlier attack pulled over a truck. While they checked the driver's documents, he drove off and the patrol cars chased after him. Police described how the truck deliberately tried to hit pedestrians on the pavement during the pursuit. Now we see what's going on. I was trying to put these together. Car ramming through the
and then everybody comes in, and then there's a big investigation, and then they check his ID, and then I'm guessing he was assuming, oh, they're going to get me.
Okay, so at the press conference, police said they were treating the two incidents as acts of terror and said that while they believe the attacker acted alone, so there was two incidents by the same guy. One and he had an ISIS flag in his vehicle. So now that we've put that together, craziness.
It says in this article that it's unclear if the incident was linked to a second vehicle crash 2 hours later. So I don't know if there's another one or if that's
interesting. She says, "I'm shocked. I just see people flying. There were people flying everywhere. So the U-Haul truck hit pedestrians near Jasper Avenue and 107th Street." So they're yeah. So many. I'm sorry, guys. It's just when we come and bring you guys these horrible things, it's really hard to wrap our brains around it.
St. Mark the Evangelist says, Michelle, there was a truck and a car, and he thinks that they are separate.
Oh.
I'm curious, though, why if they are separate incidents, and I'm really sorry, you guys, that we're not more prepared today on these, but if there were two separate incidents, why was the guy, when his ID was checked, why did he, you know what I mean, if it was completely separate?
Yeah, why did he give chase? So, yeah, we can
but it says that the attacker acted alone. So I'm kind of curious if they're thinking it's two separate lone wolves incidences within a couple of hours space. Like either it's one guy and it is a lone wolf, or it's two guys and they're both linked to the same organization. Because I don't think that would be too much of a coincidence.
Right. Yeah, and honestly, there's not a lot for us to go on right now anyways. So this is like brand new. I thought that kind of give us an idea. Somebody posted this video, why they come, and this kind of puts in perspective.
When I was in Syria, actually, I had just a Nokia, like a cheap phone, but now I have an iPhone.
When I was in Syria, I just had a cheap Nokia, but now I have an iPhone. These are refugees in North Finland demanding our money.
You are not going to eat today?
No, we don't want to eat.
Why not?
Because the eat is so bad and so strange, and the animals don't eat just like this eat. So we want our money to get some what we need from the supermarket. We don't want to eat from this eat. Yes, because this bad eat. We about 13 days here, so the eat is not so good. And we want just money, just our money. No money, no medicine, They humiliated us.
Everybody, if we ask anyone, if in Germany not accept people here, they will back country.
I want money, yeah. I want money because I want to smoking and telling my mother in the Syria.
In the camp service, not good.
No service, no service, no service, no service.
That's a good question. We have two reasons. The first one, the salary for the refugees decreased about 50% from 10,000 krona to about 5,000. Then the most important question is the in Finland, like in Finland or other country, they make us, they allow to us to receive, to take our family back to us, that family left behind in our country.
So, we come for the money.
We're coming for the money.
And
then we're going to complain about the service.
Such an entitled mindset. Obviously, then we're going to complain about the service, complain about the food. These are not refugees. These people, okay, there's, obviously, we've talked about this before. We have the Muslim migration from, you've got Afghanistan and Pakistan. A lot of these people are actually, their parents pay their way to get in. They say, here's money. Now go, get us a spot.
Right.
And then we'll come after you.
Yeah.
Right? And then you do have a lot of the North Africans, and their life isn't that awesome either. However, usually the ones that are leaving North Africa are the ones that have the money to pay the smugglers. Like we saw the other day where in Germany the rapist was saying my dad was like a king. I think he was in Somalia or something. I get them mixed up.
So I want to go to a couple of the comments here. I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm going to totally mess it up. Yage Mayer says that Jasper Street is a main party strip in Edmonton, right outside of the stadium. Now, St. Mark, the evangelist, said that the headline on InfoWars says that the terror attack, horror in Canada as driver with ISIS flag deliberately rams pedestrians. It says 2 incidents. Car and truck both rammed people. So he's saying that on InfoWars they're saying that it is 2 separate.
Well,
I mean, obviously the incident was, but was it a separate attacker?
Right.
I mean, the guy got away the first time.
Right.
So the fact that I'm going to guess, and this is totally complete conjecture here, but I think it's probably going to be the same guy. But we'll just have to wait to find out.
Yeah. Well, when I'm looking through the Breitbart article, it seemed to mean that there was the same guy.
Right.
Driver of the car with an Islamic flag was later discovered, then approached by Edmonton Police Service special duty member and stabbed him multiple times before fleeing the scene on foot. Roughly 2 hours in the manhunt followed. A large U-Haul van was observed racing through downtown with as many as a dozen police cruisers in hot pursuit. So I guess we're not sure at this time whether it was him or not.
I guess we'll just have to wait for, and you guys know that we'll bring it to you as soon as we can find it.
Right.
So what else do we have?
This particular article is so telling, and I think that it kind of sums things up, but I think for most liberals or leftists, it's going to just go right over their heads. The wives of the victims of the grooming gangs, of this particular grooming gang, some of them were interviewed. And they said that the girls were filthy and white filthy girls, and they were to blame for their abuse. So here are these guys here, these Pakistani men. And even the labor shadow government lady, she came out and said, we have to be able to say these guys are all coming from Pakistan.
Right.
It's not a racial thing. Pakistani is a country. It's not a race.
It's a geographical issue.
It's a geographical issue. So the wives of convicted Muslim rape gang groomers have said that the young white girls targeted by their husbands are filthy and to blame for their own abuse. Suju, the wife of a jail groomer, explained that she was, and here's what's interesting, is every single one of them said that their husbands abused them.
Right.
So here, listen to some of these testimonies. She said she was afraid of her husband, but said that his white victims were filthy, how they dress, they have no shame, no fear of Allah. In an interview with the Mail on Sunday, she was asked if it was ever okay to hurt young girls. She said, no, you can't hurt people. Allah does not want that. However, she then added, but it is the girls who should be careful. They did something to him, maybe bad magic. I am now alone, no money, no life. Wow. So she thinks that these 14 and 15-year-old girls had magic. Yeah.
That's brainwashing.
Yeah.
So we were talking the other day when we went live, I think on Friday, and the question, or not the question was, but the statement was often made, you know, sometimes, or most of the time, people are responsible for their own actions. And there is such a thing as brainwashing. And these women have been brainwashed.
Here's the scripture. It says, train up a child in the way he should go. When he's old, he will not depart. So when you train people up, these women are from Pakistan. So what we are seeing in their testimonies is a view into the Pakistani life and how they are raised to view men and relationships. 3 other wives and a daughter of convicted groomers also took interviews, revealing their twisted understanding of sex, rape, and consent. 2 of the wives were described as virgin brides from Pakistan, while 1 was born in the United Kingdom. All told of how they had been frequently abused by their controlling husbands, but despite this, only 2 were prepared to condemn outright the rape of the white girls. Muslim women must give husband, one said in broken English. He want, she don't like, but she must give. He did it hard. It hurt. It was always painful. He said I am his toy. I said no. He pushed me down, made me cry. He was like a dog. One young girl said, my dad is in prison because he was with others raping small white girls. I hate him. He made my mom pregnant 8 times, even when she didn't want to do it. I heard her crying. 6 babies died. He did that to her for so long, but never went to prison. When asked how they would feel if their children had been drugged and raped, they agreed it would upset them, but one added, it can't happen to them because they are not in the streets. We look after them.
Have some sort of sense of wrong, because as a human being, you understand when something that's being done to you is hurtful and painful. So they have that sense
when it's wrong to them, but they don't have the sense when it happens to somebody
other
else.
People. Yeah.
And so what you have here is, this is classic Islam. If you don't wear the hijab, you can be raped. If you wear shorts, you can be raped. If you're just outside walking around, you can be raped. It's okay in Islam for these guys. Actually, they're not supposed to be raping other Muslim girls. They're not supposed to, but, you know, they actually appreciate it when the girls don't wear the hijab, because then they have legal recourse. I mean, in some of these countries, Pakistan is one of the worst countries where these people, the Pakistani men and the Pakistani women are just so broken. And what's interesting is that there's a stupid TV show I saw, it kept coming up on Twitter, The Handmaid's Tale. It won all the Emmys. And it's supposed to, and everybody's tweeting it out saying, we are living in this dysphoria, we're living in this dystopia, and it's going to happen, and the conservatives are going to start putting all women in an area and raping them and making them carry babies.
Conservatives, but then you guys are the liberals are the ones that are pro-Islam that actually do that.
So what I wanted to just scream into their faces and say, here you are in America, like Chicken Little, saying the sky is falling, when in other countries the sky has fallen. So I wanted to put that out there. So I wanted to kind of give an update on the AfD, because the German elections were last week, and that's what we covered last week.
Alternatives for Germany.
Yeah. We have a friend who has a friend from Germany coming in. He's a gay guy, and I'm wondering if I don't know his views yet.
Yeah,
so.
We love him. His name is Lars. He's an amazing guy. So
Do you
hopefully,
really I guess it's a common name.
It's a common name. And, oh, seriously? You all know which Lars I'm talking about.
I
mean, seriously. No, he's super awesome. So maybe we'll be able to get a little bit on the ground opinion.
So the 2017 German federal elections brought the first representation of the right-wing party to Berlin since World War II, and the Alternative for Germany party taking nearly 100 seats. The academic community is struggling to explain the reasons behind the popularity of the Nationalist Party. The success of the Alternative for Germany party in the recent Bundestag elections can be explained by the fact that a large segment of the German population doesn't feel that they have a voice in the country's parliament. This is Professor Niels Dietrich, political science at Berlin's Free University. He says, I don't think people vote for AfD because they want concrete policies. I think it is more linked to the idea that the AfD is channeling discontent, channeling the feeling that the parliament is not really representing all of Germany, and that there is just a part of Germany population that doesn't It simply doesn't feel represented in the German parliament. And we saw that when we were seeing some interviews. They just want some sort of representation. And so I think that people are really struggling to find out how they got these seats, and they're going to, so that it doesn't happen again. But
I think it's too late for that.
Yeah. All right. So, before we go to Catalonia, I wanted to bring up this article. It says the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, the OSCE, the world-leading security organization, has warned the spectra of terrorism will continue to haunt Europe for many years to come, against an increase in radicalization in European nations. And to that we say, duh. Like, you have to have a study because you said it. We can all see it. The whole world can see it.
Right.
But you have a study and you came out and so it's true now because you said it, right?
But they're kind of, by saying it's a specter, like ghostly, that kind of makes it a little bit ambiguous. You know what I mean? And so I'm thinking to myself,
I thought he was talking the wide range of terrorism. Like,
isn't that specter?
Yeah.
That's not how you spell it.
Well, let's go on.
It says continue to haunt Europe. I'm just saying what I think that what they mean there is that they're not quite willing to put it into a solid form. It's still kind of, you know, they don't want to like solidly say something.
Well, right. Yeah. It's all over the place. Speaking with Austrian foreign minister at the Vienna launch of the new OCSE report Friday, academic Peter Newman said the threat of terror will continue to occupy us for many, many years, as he warned of the enduring danger of hardened militants returning to Europe from the Islamic State. Stating the trend for the coming years suggested more low-tech, easy-to-execute, but difficult-to-stop attacks. Cars, knives, machetes. Can't just ban guns anymore, right? Just random throw acid in people's faces. Seriously. Newman said that while defeating the Islamic State was an important goal, it wouldn't immediately solve the security situation, as other groups would rise to take its place, which is what I understand. People who like have these little memes that say like P on ISIS or F ISIS or something like that. Like, you don't understand. This isn't an Islamic thing. This isn't this isn't ISIS thing. This isn't ISIL. This isn't Al Qaeda. This is radical Muslim fundamental Islam ideals. I think somebody was sentenced in Oklahoma, I believe, for beheading, and he felt
Seriously?
he got obsessed with beheadings, and they found him guilty. I read that today. They found him guilty, and he wants the death sentence. The family wants the death sentence. He's American who was radicalized in this same mosque as one of the 9/11 dudes.
Wow.
And
so he just beheaded a random person?
No, it was in his workplace, and he got sent home. He got in an argument. We
covered that. This was like earlier this year, wasn't it?
He said some horrible things. He stabbed a woman, and then he beheaded somebody. So.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Okay. So, anyways, he's being sentenced now. And my point is that he said that he was doing what was in the Quran, and he cited the verse in the Quran that says, slash them above their necks and cut off the tips of their fingers. That's in the Quran. So it was interesting is that I love these Muslims who are like, Islam is a religion of peace. Well, what the heck is slash them above the neck and cut off their fingertips mean to you? Explain that to me.
It's a peaceful slashing.
All right, so the report itself also revealed startling new figures on the extent of terror attacks in the past year, taking in all attacks by extremists across 57 nations that make up the OCSE, Europe, North Africa, Russia. The body stated there had been 11 extremist-related deaths in 2016 and destroyed billions of euros worth of property and infrastructure. Wow. Which is so interesting because a lot of the people on... Even Ron Paul, and people on the left, and Ron Paul's not on the left, but I've heard Ron Paul say this, you're more likely to A, B, C, or D than be killed in a terrorist attack.
Right.
Now, if you break it down to, how many per capita are killed, right? Well, 1,000 people 1,000 people in 2016 and billions of dollars of damage.
Right.
This is like, you know,
which
worse
is still
than
terror. Even if somebody doesn't actually die,
why do the numbers?
Do we have injuries?
Yeah, exactly. And then not only the deaths, but how come it's not a big deal because we have people thwarting the plots? I mean, we need somebody to add up these numbers to, like, recreate what could have happened in every single incident.
And we've covered that as far as the actual thwarted attack numbers, but nobody has compiled like a what would have happened type of scenario ranging between this number and this number of damage and deaths and injuries.
Right, with all the thwarted attacks, you can probably easily double that, 20 times.
Right.
So something that might kill 20,000 people versus 1,000 people, it's just because you have some people, some great, agencies out there who are thwarting attacks before they blow things up. Making it clear how widespread a problem such attacks have become, the report stated there is practically no country that has not been affected by violent extremism.
And our favorite Polish Prime Minister
out at the often half-hearted approach of European governments towards fighting the causes of terrorism, which can be hobbled by concerns of racism, cultural insensitivity, and political correctness. The report called for participating states to be genuine and forceful.
So Beata Szydło says what?
Well, this was back in March. They just go ahead and brought that back.
Impossible not to connect terrorism with migration policy. So did they link to her video? Because that's a different one.
What they do is in the articles, they'll show something from in the past. That's from March. Okay. So, yeah.
Still, I mean, she said it, and she has taken such a hardline stance that the EU is threatening all kinds of things against Poland and Hungary for their not allowing the migrants in.
Right. I'm actually going to play a video here from Viktor Orban in Hungary, but I thought I'd go ahead and show you this. This is an immigrant arrested on suspicion of Swedish mosque arson. The main mosque in the central Swedish city of Örebro was partially destroyed in a fire early on Tuesday morning. Soon after the fire had been extinguished, suspicions arose that it might have been caused by arson. As usually happens when a mosque or refugee city burns, the mainstream media is, saying it must be a right-wing extremist. The King of Sweden even visited the site to show his compassion, claiming that this was a sad day for all of Sweden. However, the media's hopes of turning this into a sob story, focusing on the poor, persecuted Swedish Muslims, seem to have been dashed, as the 20-year-old now arrested on the suspicion of arson is an alleged immigrant from El Salvador and a former worshiper at the mosque. The suspect is said to have been an Islamic convert who then left the religion when divorcing his wife. So I thought I'd bring that to you from Sweden.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what? You train people to tell them that violence is the way that you get your point across and the way you should act when you don't like something, then guess what? It's going to come back and bite you.
Right. So Belgian jihadis wanted to kill their brother because he was gay. 3 jihadi fighters from Milford, outside of Brussels, could face 5 years in prison sentences after they planned to kill the gay brother of 2 of their number. This is a translation. They also stand accused of threatening the president of Milford youth centers, as well as the imam, or Muslim cleric, of the Milford mosque. Federal prosecutors claim that the 3 jihadi fighters drew up precise plans with a view to abducting and executing the underage brother of 2 of their family. The motive for the killing was the boy's sexual preference. They also stand accused of threatening a youth center official, as well as the imam, and of threatening the West. So during a court hearing, the federal prosecutor demanded prison sentences of 5 years against the 3 suspects who were all in Syria. Earlier, 2 of their number received 5-year jail sentences at the Sharia for Belgium trial. Sharia for Belgium is now a proscribed organization. 1 of these 2 left for Syria in 2012, and according to former Syrian fighter,
So I don't know what the point is behind this. I guess if they ever tried to come back, then they would be arrested and sentenced.
Well, they found the plans, obviously.
But I'm just saying, if they're in Syria, there's nothing that they can do about it.
Right.
At this point.
So, Iceland, we're going to go everywhere. Iceland, Muslim asylum seeker enraged over rejection murders woman. Women have been rejecting men for as long as there have been women and men, and some of those men also from the beginning brutalized and even killed the women who rejected them. It's also true that this Yemeni asylum seeker, now to go from Yemen to Iceland is a big leap, isn't it? A big leap. I mean, you have to get a lot of different clothes, probably. A little warmer, can't wear the sandals. So this Yemeni asylum seeker is a product of a culture of violence that mandates the beating of women, and Jihadi Watch gives the Quranic references and also tells Muslim men, he gives the Quranic references to, you know, seize non-Muslim women. So they said Christine Douglas Williams and I believe this person tried to warn Icelanders of what was to come, and they said they were uniformly vilified and misrepresented in the Icelandic press, which never bothered to report on what they actually said. A Muslim leader who confronted both of these people, I believe from Jihad Watch, when we spoke, later complained that the London Bridge jihadi attack was staged. Then, when I was positioned, I don't know, by a young leftist Icelander, poisoned, that's right, I'm sorry, this Jihadi Watch guy who was poisoned, now I'm remembering it, he was poisoned by a young leftist Icelander. Police didn't even bother to question the principal suspect, whose identity and location he was able to discover, until 19 days after the incident. And they didn't make any arrests. This guy was poisoned. He's trying to warn Iceland of what's happening, and nobody wants to hear it. So this is the guy here. And I don't know what the victim's name is.
Maybe they haven't released it.
So, family of Hagenmuller, murder victims, say suspect, a Yemeni asylum seeker, had stalked her. Family and friends of a 44-year-old Latvia woman, Sanita Brun, who died after a violent and brutal attack on September 21st, said the suspect, a Yemeni asylum seeker in his 30s, had stalked the victim prior to the attack, and the two had talked online and met once, after which the attacker became obsessed with the victim. He is said to become enraged when she didn't want to have anything to do with him, so he killed her.
Wow.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I mean, the article started out by saying we have had psychotic men that have done things like this from the beginning of time. Some men are just that, like, crazy. Women are too. However, whenever it happens with a person of the Muslim faith, you almost have to point to the fact that in their religion, in their upbringing, they are taught that this sort of violence is okay, especially toward women.
This is a little clip, and I know we're looking totally anti-Muslim today, and if this is not your thing, then you can turn off. But this is not my thing. A bunch of kids shouting Allahu Akbar on their way to school. Good job! Notice that all the young girls have to wear, you know, hijabs. Poland.
I'm sorry, this is so great. I love Poland! Whoever put that together, that they get a cookie. Oh my gosh, that's so much fun. Okay, so here's the thing though. I want to, the point could be made and questioned. Leah, what's so wrong with them shouting, God is great? God is good.
Because, you guys, to be quite frank, when they shout Allahu Akbar, it is war to them. It means something different than when we say praise the Lord or thank you, Jesus.
Marcin, nice profile pic. That's us. We've never been anybody's profile pic. We are now officially kind of cool, I think. You know, you see the profile pics of Nigel and different cool people. I'm putting it in there. I'm just saying. Just saw that come up.
Right. So here's the thing. Everybody knows that when people are going through the streets saying Allahu Akbar,
right?
It's not praise the Lord, thank you, Jesus, God is awesome.
We all know, and they know, or they wouldn't shout it when they committed a terror attack. You know what I mean? They all know what that phrase means, and the children do as well. It's not just...
It's a sign we are taking over this area. That's why they have... Yeah, I have another video where they're like, guys are just going around shouting it. I believe that common sense isn't common anymore.
Yeah, it's
right.
rare sense.
We were talking about that. Tucker Carlson was talking about this, and when I use my own two eyes and I use my own two ears, and I see somebody in Africa putting their arms up in the air and saying, "Praise the Lord."
Yeah,
that's good. When I see people everywhere shouting "Allahu Akbar," they're not peaceful. They're not. Right. This isn't like, "Oh, God is awesome." No, it's, "I'm gonna take you over." Okay, that's what they mean. And I hate it. It sounds anti-Islam, but I can tell you that's what they mean. I have two ears and I have two eyes. I can see it with my own self. I get the feeling from them that they don't mean peace. They don't mean praise the Lord. I've been around people my whole life saying praise the Lord, and they are just, they're happy and joyful. Something good just happened.
Right.
Nem volt példa, idézet vége. Tisztelt Hölgyeim és Uraim!
Ladies and gentlemen, it is evident that in the migrant accepting
Nyilvánvaló, hogy
countries,
a bevándorló országokban a migránsok
the rights connected with accepting and settling migrants
jogok ma elsőbséget
enjoy a higher priority than the rights of the individual states to secure their borders. We do not accept this thesis, and we put the right to defend our borders in first place.
As you should.
This also means that we see in the West that the human rights of the illegal migrants enjoy a priority as opposed to those of European citizens who do not want to let them in as they are illegal. And that brings up the question of democracy. What we are facing are problems that the Western countries have with democracy. The leaders follow principles that clearly run contrary to the principles of their respective peoples, who, if they ever followed them at all, are now giving them up or starting to turn against them. We do not know this problem with democracy, because we choose for this difficult question, we chose, should we become a migrant-accepting country? With the help of national consultations and continuously include in the political decision-making process those citizens who wish to express their opinion on this issue. The problem is, of course, leads to a moral dilemma. And he goes on to talk. But I thought it's, as a country, you have a right to control your borders and decide who comes in and who doesn't come in.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about Catalonia, because I go back and forth on this one. The Catalonians are anti-EU.
Right.
However, they seem incredibly socialist. Borderline communist. And with them I see Antifa people. And I see them doing the same tactics as the Antifa people. I see them doing, and so I'm literally split down the middle on this one, but we're going to cover it. And
well, a lot of people think that, and we've had, Otto's not here today, but a lot of people that come on and tell us, maybe people that know more than we do, that if Catalonia is allowed to become independent and gain their sovereignty, it's just going to become a hardline communist country. And I don't know about that, okay? But I have to kind of think that, and they were equating it to like Cal-exit, like California leaving the United States or something like that. I don't know. You know what? If California really wanted to have a vote and everybody in California wanted to succeed from the Union and leave, you know what? I don't know. I wouldn't be bashing people over the head until they turn bloody to stop the vote from happening. Yeah. So I think that we definitely need to look at this, and we can have different opinions come up in the chat. I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, and this one, tell us what you think. So at first, Julian Assange is tweeting out, he is obviously for the Catalonian referendum. He has been fighting for them, trying to show them ways that they can get their vote out. The world's first internet war is raging in Spain ahead of Sunday's Catalan independence referendum, according to Julian Assange. In a series of tweets Saturday, Assange outlined how hundreds of websites have been censored by Spanish authorities, who have also suspended the use of 29 Catalan government apps relating to the referendum and occupied telecoms buildings. The official referendum website was just one of hundreds that had been blocked. On September 20th, Spain's Guardia Civil raided the offices of the .cat domain registry in downtown Barcelona, seizing computers and arresting the registry's IT manager. I mean, this is full on, like, they better be right, because this is Stalinistic, what they're doing. So, one of the opinions put on here, Apple Mark Once Vid says, Michelle, no, one nation under God. We didn't put up with it from the Confederacy, and we won't entertain it from California. So, here's the thing. You're right. I don't think we should ever let it come to that. However, what's happening in Catalonia, they are using violence. And if it ever came to us actually using violence against people that were trying to come together for what they were saying is a democratic vote, I would have to say, no, that is fascism. That is Marxism. You know, I think that there would definitely, there's a better way to deal with this. Well, and here's the thing. We have, in our country, we have a constitution, and we have the right to uphold the Constitution.
Right.
And we have to be able to hold the Constitution. And, you know, we fought a civil war over people wanting to leave the Union, and many people called them traitors. Some people still in the South say they were just trying to exercise their rights, which is why some people still fly the Confederate flag. It doesn't mean to them slavery. It meant exercising their own rights. The fact that it has to do with slavery is kind of not awesome, but
unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay. So the registry was established to provide an online space for Catalan language and the culture, and was over 100,000 active domain names. The raid came just after the Spanish government ordered the registry take down all .cat domains used for the referendum. On Friday, following a court ruling, Google blocked a Catalan government app that allowed users to check their polling stations. The following day, police entered the headquarters of the Catalan government's telecommunications and IT center. Undeterred, Catalan authorities have issued instructions advising citizens to use proxies to circumvent restrictions put in place by internet service providers. And so there is an all-out internet war happening right now. And if I just put in, I have some of the videos up. I have to tell you where I'm coming down in the middle because.
Well, let me give what Britt Baza says. Catalonia is the Basque separatist area, and these people are terrorists with Islamic links. So, the police are just beating these people. Who looks like the terrorist here?
I don't know. I don't know. Here's the thing. They're fighting the police. Okay? I know the way some people feel. But when the people are on the front line at the police,
I don't know, though. I mean, that guy's just standing there. They're just going after that guy's just holding. He's just kind of standing there like this. I don't know. To me,
I think that if you're going to be on the front line with police, you know you're going to get hit. You don't stand toe-to-toe with police officers. You just don't do it.
I don't know. I think you're kind of viewing them the way that like we would view our police officers, but our police officers would not do that.
Well, I do know that other people have
They would like spray, like pepper spray or something. You know what I mean?
I do know that they said, somebody said, take a good look, Merkel. This is what your EU army looks like. So sometimes it's kind of like with...
and it said, Leah, I think that they were fighting to get into the polling places. And so if the police state is keeping you from getting into the polling places, because I think that you're correct here, that's what's happening, then is it a fight? And they don't have weapons. They're not fighting the police. They're fighting, you know, what is, in the United States here, it says it is your right, it is your duty to overthrow such government. So I'm not saying that that's what's happening there. I'm just saying... These people, they're saying that they're hiding terrorists and this is a terrorist thing, but a lot of these people that I'm seeing, they just look like Spanish people to me. They could have links to ISIS, they could be terrorists, but a lot of these people seem like just regular,
I don't know,
Spanish people
French
to me.
Revolution people look normal to me. Normal. You're gonna see you see two sides here, guys.
We're gonna talk this out because we don't. Leah and I here at Resistance Chicks, we obviously do not have a solid opinion as far as what's going on.
Mayor of Barcelona. She says, the first thing I would like to say is that as mayor of Barcelona, I call for a halt to police actions.
that are taking place in our city at this very moment immediately, because it is unacceptable that the police should be thrown against a populace that is mobilized to exercise its right to vote. It is behaving absolutely whatever.
My question is, and nobody has answered this for me. I have been trying to figure this out. That's why I have spent hours trying to figure this out.
Excuse me.
Is this legal under Spanish law? Can you have a referendum in Spain to leave Spain? Is this a thing?
And that's what St. Mark wanted to know about the United States, if a state can secede from the Union.
No, you can't just vote and leave.
There's a process that you would have to go through. It's not like it's in the laws where you can just all of a sudden, hey, let's take a vote and get out of here.
If we're living in a democracy, then please stop this, police action right now, and so then we can talk about whatever we have to talk about. Having said that, what is happening today in Barcelona and Catalonia is very serious. For a long time, we have been in a situation of deadlock between Catalonia and the government of the Spanish state, precisely because no one has put any proposals on the table, because there haven't been a dialogue, no negotiations. They're saying that their government, they can't turn to the courts, they're hiding behind judges and the public prosecutors to avoid its responsibility to act politically. Today, it has gone a step further and crossed the Rubicon. I have to say, Mariano Rajoy is a coward who is not equal to his responsibility as a state, a prime minister who assumes his responsibility, looks for solutions. He doesn't make things more difficult and hide behind thousands of police against a peaceful and defenseless citizenry. Today, I don't think we are talking about the question of independence, yes or no, nor are we talking about a spat between Catalonia and Spain. We're talking about a split between their prime minister and Catalonia. It's absolutely clear that Mariano Rajoy must resign because he has failed in his political responsibilities. And if he doesn't resign, then you gotta vote him out.
You're getting the Leah version.
Because he's clearly not up to the task. Fundamental rights and liberties.
All right, so A Squirrel says the Basque people are one of the most unique and ancient in the world by language, culture, religion. They're not Muslim, and blood type. They are mostly all O. They have no similarity to the Spanish culture, which I found really interesting because, like, Lee and I are pretty much all new to this. I know a lot of you have, this has been going on for a long time. Catalonia has been trying to get out of Spain. I personally, I don't know about Leah, I can't speak for Leah, but I didn't really know that this was going on. And that it's been going on for so long. I've only known of it recently.
Well, it's kind of like, to give you a perspective, it's they're wanting the Scots people to back and support them because people from Scotland have been wanting to leave the UK for a while. And growing up, listen, we were taught that Scotland should be able to be free from the UK. Listen, I mean, we don't watch Braveheart over and over for nothing.
So Najia Lu says in Spain this referendum is unconstitutional. However, if they had any common political sense, they would let Catalans have their vote and then ignore the result as unconstitutional. And I kind of wondered that myself. You know what I mean? Why such violence? Why not just let the people vote and then just ignore it and not allow anything to happen after that? That's what I find a little bit odd. Well, not OO negative. Their blood type.
So the Polizia here just shooting right out the van. These people just kind of, they are kind of defenseless. You know, if you wanted to have and here, it's weird. It's so weird what's going on right here.
It's strange to me, I have to tell you.
And sometimes there is no right side. Do you know that?
Yeah.
Sometimes, here's the thing. We don't lean left and we don't lean right, but we lean on the Word of God. And our founding fathers backed in support of the French Revolution in the beginning. Mm-hmm. And then when they realized that the people were turning into vicious animals.
Right.
Guillotining people, you know, stealing everybody's land, stealing their homes, and it became selfish.
Right.
If you really want your independence because you want your autonomy and you want to control your own life, but when you want your independence and you still then want to set up a socialist government on top of that, this is what's been going over my head, and you want to set up a socialist government where you begin to tell people what to do instead of somebody else telling people what to do, that's when I have a little bit of a problem.
Right.
That's when you have communists. So I don't know what the political leanings of these people are. I do know that the firefighters right here went up against the police.
It's very much like a civil war that's going on right now. And so sometimes, like you said earlier, you can't exactly take a side. Like you were comparing it to the French Revolution, the aristocracy wasn't awesome either. And yet, you know, them going in and just beheading everybody and killing them off isn't the way you should go about it.
But these people aren't necessarily violent. They're trying to use their voices. They're trying to use a vote.
Right.
So it's not obviously the same thing. And if I had to say, I would, whoever said, let them vote and deal with it afterwards. Let them, you know, it probably has to do a lot with economics. So if Barcelona and Catalonia and this wealthy, from what I understand, it's the wealthiest portion of Spain, if they leave, then it affects Spain's GDP and the economic status. So it's mostly to me.
Now, if you just said something that makes sense with what Otto, came in and said that the Catalan secessionists are socialist leaning and they are supported by George Soros. So if they are the wealthy, the elitists, then it would make sense. But what doesn't make sense is how do you get these type people? These obviously can't be the wealthy out on the streets. I mean, can
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Are they really?
Yeah, they're the wealthy part of Spain. Yeah, definitely. These are.
But I'm not thinking like elitists.
Yes, these are. You can see it. These are like the preppy people.
So if the elitists are out there
Spanish
fighting,
preppy
you
people.
know what I mean? I kind of have to. Hey,
And the
give
question,
them a little bit more
the
power.
question there remains though is why would George Soros support a split when he is the biggest supporter of the European Union? And they want to leave the European Union. So these are so many different aspects. Right. We can talk this through. Keep telling me, guys. You guys are there. You're over there. What's it like in Barcelona? What's it like there? I mean, what are the people like? Obviously, these aren't your average Antifa people. Right. They're not your white trashy Antifa. These seem to be pretty wealthy, normal people, old and young.
Apple Mark One's vid says Soros may be playing both ends from the middle.
Well, he does
Likely.
do that.
He does definitely do that.
To get, yeah. So
this is the make up your own mind. What do you guys think?
Here's the police beating up the firefighters because the firefighters don't have, obviously, weapons. So
but they had shields at least from getting whacked because the police were beating them. I don't know. Like you said, Catalonia wants to leave the European Union. Is very
says
important.
Google is siding with authoritarian state again. So
there you go with the George Soros funding both sides. If they're in the wrong, then George Soros is on this side. Then obviously if Google is supporting them, then George Soros is on the other side as well. So how do you pick which side George Soros is funding?
Exactly.
How do you decide which side is right then amongst that? So if Google is siding with the police here, I got to go against Google until further notice.
This is London right now. People are in the streets supporting the Catalonians. So it's weird because you have the anti-Brexiteers, it seems.
So, Otto, I have a question for you. He says that an independent Catalan will have a Marxist government. We aren't the police state, right? If that's the government that they want to have and all of the Catalan people want it, then it's their pit to fall in.
You know, and there is a huge difference between, obviously, there's a huge difference between Fidel Castro's rise to power. The Bolsheviks took power. They took it peacefully, actually, but with only a 17% vote. They took it over. This is a vote, okay? If the people choose communism, sometimes you have to let a teenager, and this is where I'm at. Sometimes a parent has to let a teenager go because they think that they know what they're doing. And if the parents are abusive parents anyways, so Spain is a socialist government
already.
They are deep into the European Union. And so you have two, socialist states working it out. Now, when they find that, will their Catalonian government give them, internet access, things like that? I mean,
Otto says that the Marxists are behind all false democracy movements.
Well,
and I agree with
absolutely
you.
true.
I totally agree with you there.
But I mean, I see, here's the thing. And this is what I would say to David Knight, and this is what I would say to InfoWars, and this is what I would say to anybody calling the police a fascist state here, which I'm not saying that they're not. But CNN and MSNBC and all the mainstream media are covering this as Spain is the bad guy. So I take my cues from what the mainstream media is saying and doing. They didn't
You
talk.
mean the Catalonians are the bad guy, or the Spain is? All
Spain.
the media is saying that Spain is the bad guy.
Spain. There, look right here. Police fired rubber bullets as people tried to vote. All of the mainstream media is showing videos against the brutal Spanish police, which I'm not saying that they're not, but they're making the Catalonians out to be the victim and Spain to be the bad guy.
So there we are. Now we're back on the other side again.
Yes.
So we just keep hopping, and so we're back to I don't know. There's an okay. Like we don't know. We're gonna have to just sit back and watch it. There's nothing we can do anyway. Right? We can pray and seek the Lord's will
Julian
here.
Assange wants the Catalonian referendum. David Knight is obviously saying Catalonian referendum should go on. A lot of people are upset because they're not hearing condemnation of the violence coming from the police. So here are these people out to vote, and the police just come in and start bashing them. The people had their hands up, and they just start... I would have to say that this is...
But if they're just trying to get into the polling areas, why do they need to have the violence? Let them go in, let them vote, and ignore the vote. You know,
Right.
In order to use violence against somebody, I mean, I don't know.
So she tried to get through, it looks like. Nope, not getting through. So, this is what you have when communism meets fascism.
Yeah.
So
I don't think there's any right or wrong. Let's see. Britt Pazza says it's European politics, Michelle.
Communist socialism meets fascism.
Now, Otto, though, here's the thing. You say it's an illegal vote. And I'm just, listen, I don't have an opinion here one way or the other. But it begs to question, what is illegal? Well, I'm not in Spain. I don't know their government very well. Like Leah said, they're in the European Union. They're obviously very socialist. So illegal, there's a lot of things that are illegal that should be legal. You know what I mean? So I don't know. To me, that in and of itself isn't good enough. Because in these kind of socialist governments, we could have the United States come in and become very communistic, socialist, and then some sort of vote would be illegal. So I'm just saying that statement in and of itself, to me, isn't good enough. I'm not saying that you're wrong, but I'm just saying there's got to be more to it than that.
So the Catalonian police are protecting from the Spanish government, the Spanish military, the citizens from the Spanish military. So here come this Catalonian police.
So since the best here in the United States that we have to equivalent this to is California. They actually have from what I understand, like an emissary in Russia, like the Republic of California or whatever. So if they were to try to secede from the Union or leave the United States, how would we react? I have to tell you, in all honesty, if there were people in California trying to get in to vote somewhere, even if it was an illegal vote, to leave the United States, and our police were beating those people, I gotta say, like, I would just ignore the vote. That's the stance that I would take. Let the people go in, do their daggum vote, and then we just ignore it and we deal with it on a more broad scale. What I see happening here is kind of a magic trick. Look over here, look at the violence, look at what's happening. This, to me, seems like all of our focus is centered on this, and so I feel like the violence is on purpose. So I don't think that that is the way to go about whatever they're doing. It just doesn't feel right to me.
This says unprovoked attack by the police. Just start going after the police people. And I think this is the Spanish, obviously the Spanish military. So they.
Well, we don't know what they're saying, but that police officer just went into the crowd and started beating people. So guys, I gotta tell you, it's not right. Whatever's happening is not right. Maybe on either side, but specifically with the police here. No way. That humans don't deal with people that way. You don't just obviously go into a crowd as a police officer when these people are just standing there. I don't know what they were shouting. I don't know, maybe they were shouting death to the police. I don't know. But still, that just doesn't seem the correct way to do it. Just gotta say.
So, if the Spanish government is so sure that the Catalonian referendum is illegal, why not beat the vote in the courts instead of beating the voters in the streets? Sky News. The people of Catalonia are finding out what happens when an illegal referendum is held. Sky News. Interesting. Interesting. So
we're divided down the middle from the people Lee and I often go to when we don't understand something. We go to our trusted sources. What are they saying? What is their opinion? And guess what? Everybody is fallible because we're seeing people that we trust on both sides coming up with all different kinds of opinions on this. So I think we're back to the middle of there's no right or wrong here. It's just all wrong.
Juncker at Juncker EU. Do you hear this? It's your silence over the Catalonian referendum, and it's deafening, odious little men. So she's in support of it, I guess. I don't know, guys. I don't know. It's hard to be behind people who they might want their freedom and they might want, but what do they want to set up instead? So I could say, hey, that's great for you.
So Edlubs11 says Tim Pool is in Catalonia right now. Check his channel for the people's opinion.
Yeah, Tim Pool, I did bring him up. He quoted something. He's obviously in favor of the referendum.
Adeline says that most Californians I've talked to just laugh and say that Cal Exit was a democratic idea, Democrat idea, not democratic, to further divide the state. It was crazy Maxine Waters' idea.
Let's hear what Poole has to say.
Of the referendum. But things have calmed down quite a bit. We just left one of the polling stations, and needless to say, it's a bit hectic. Okay, so if you've been following the news, I want to take this opportunity while I still have some time to do a really quick video talking about what's happened so far in Catalonia, Barcelona, on the day of the referendum. Keeping in mind that as of the shooting of this video, it's only around, I believe, 5 o'clock. So by the time you watch this, it's going to be way later in the day. So stay tuned, follow me on Twitter at TimCast, because I'm going to have periodic updates, and the gaps in this video will be filled in by looking at my Twitter feed. So, just a quick recap of what's happening. Catalonia is voting for independence. It's a really long story. It's been years coming. They had a symbolic vote a few years ago, and today was supposed to be the legally binding referendum where citizens of Catalonia would vote on whether or not they wanted to be independent. Now, no one really knows for sure if the independence vote would have won. There are banners all over the city that say sí, for yes, in Spanish, and it says, votarem, we will vote. What ends up happening is the Spanish government says the referendum is illegal, they can't do it, and they try to shut it down. So you have national police showing up. These are police from outside of Catalonia coming here and trying to shut down polling stations. So last night, I still haven't slept, I went to a school. Now, these schools are being occupied by parents and their kids to make sure they stay open for the referendum because the police are trying to shut them down.
Wow.
The idea was that if they're being occupied, the police can't remove the parents, and then they'll be able to hold the referendum. I stayed overnight at a school, Escola Le Univers, I believe I'm pronouncing it right, and not a whole lot happened throughout the night, throughout the morning. A lot of people started to show up around 5 a.m., and then the sun started to rise. Around 8:30, I got word that a large group of national police arrived at a school not too far away and started arresting and attacking people. They were
Wow.
blocking the school's entrance. So this was Escola Ramon Yul, I believe it's pronounced. I'm probably ruining these pronunciations. But I headed over there, and that's where my live stream starts. So if you watched my live stream, you can see about an hour and a half of coverage. The police blocked the voters. So originally I was calling these people protesters because you see people chanting and they're in front of the police. But then I realized these people aren't technically protesters, they're just voters, right? So in Catalonia, they decided they were going to have a legally binding referendum. The Spanish government says it's not legal, it's illegal, therefore it's illegitimate. But the people of Catalonia were going to go down to these polling stations and cast their vote on whether or not they wanted to be independent, and the national police came and intervened. This is where we start seeing videos of people being beaten. We see older folks being hit by batons, and these are not people who are looking to protest, these are not people who are looking to riot. These are people who came out to go to a school to put a piece of paper in a box, to cast a ballot in a democratic vote. Now, I'm not going to get into the debate over whether or not this is legal or illegal. Needless to say, a lot of people have been injured. As of the time of filming this video, over 400 people have been injured so far. Police have fired rubber bullets, very large rubber bullets. When I was live streaming, my feed cut out just after the police started firing rubber bullets, and we saw several people injured. There was a bit of cat and mouse between the voters yelling at the police to leave and the police coming back at the protesters. But there were many people injured. There's really graphic photos of an older woman whose head is bleeding. There's an older man whose head is bleeding. There's even a video of a younger man who was shot in the back, I believe more than once, and he's actually crying. So the people here are very emotional and very angry. What I can say is, based on what we've seen so far, all that the Spanish government has done is served to push people towards independence, towards wanting independence, because they feel like...
I did read that in June, the people who wanted to vote were only at 13% for yes, and it's because of their Spanish reaction that
their voices are not allowed, and they feel like their civil liberties are being violated by an aggressive police force when the people here are anything but violent. There's no violence. I have not seen anyone do anything to vandalize or break anything, with one exception. Some young men grabbed barricades in the middle of the street and pulled them, and immediately the group started going, "Oh, no, no," rushed over and put the barricades back, and then yelled at those kids to get out, to leave. Because they're trying very hard to make sure that this is a legitimate vote. They don't want violence to sully what they're doing. They want people to look at them like this is an actual democratic movement. So there are fears that there will be provocateurs. We don't know for sure. Now, following the incident at the school that I covered, we saw this video, which is shocking to say the least, where black masked police come in and seize the ballot boxes, which is shocking. I understand that there's the opinion, or some people side with the Spanish government, that this vote is illegal and the police are enforcing the laws of Spain and the Constitution by taking these ballots away. But it's a very strange sight to see black masked individuals going into a building and taking ballot boxes. There are even photos of ballot boxes chained, not just closed. It's chained closed, and then chains go through the table and into cement blocks to make sure the police can't take it. Now, not too long ago, just before shooting this video, we were at one of these polling stations because we got word the police may have been moving in to shut it down. Inside, it was pretty warm, and we were just watching people cast their ballots. Rather uneventful, if you ask me. But all of a sudden, a man runs in the room yelling, "La puerta, la puerta." The door, and immediately people rush and hide the ballots. They then all run to the front room of the school, and they block the doors and look out the windows, and it goes dead silent. And so I'm sitting there filming, and then all of a sudden you hear some, I believe, like sighs of relief, a little bit of chuckles here and there, and then someone says, "False alarm? False alarma?" And then someone says, "Yeah." And then everyone claps and cheers, and they go back to voting. So the people here are definitely on edge, because we have seen the police, starting yesterday and into today, going into these polling stations, being very violent and shutting things down. Now, another thing that's interesting that's happened today is we actually saw the Catalan police, the police force here in Catalonia, intervening between the national police and the citizenry. So there is a video of police.
And we saw that. So,
all right, you guys. So here's the thing, because I've been watching the chat, and listen on this subject. We value opinions from both sides. So you can't be wrong. Don't get into any arguments here. There is no wrong opinion here because we don't know. I think that what Tim Pool did was get on the ground and at least tell us firsthand that there was no violence coming from the people that wanted to vote. And that's very key. So he's not making an opinion and an assumption about whether it's right or wrong that this should be carried out, but at least it is very important for us to know whether these people are acting like Antifa, you know what I mean, going in and being completely violent, or whether the police are coming in and...
Will Catalonia, like, try to join the European Union, like, on its own?
Right, probably not.
I don't know. They might.
I don't know.
Okay, so I wanted to wrap things up for today. I wanted to talk about the San Juan mayor, because after we played you guys...
we really do have to go with Pepis.
Right. After we played you guys the video on Friday of the San Juan mayor making this big plea and saying, you know, there's going to be genocide if we don't get help.
This is Puerto Rico, for those of you that don't know.
Puerto Rico, San Juan. It has come out that the San Juan mayor is this crazy left-wing communist, and she was standing in front of pallets of food and water, saying they don't have pallets of food and water, with a shirt, and I didn't even notice it, that said, "Help us, we're dying."
How do you get that printed that fast? Where'd you get that, honey?
So this particular picture is of her going around on a truck, but she's got all the camera people with her, okay? And she's got a megaphone, so she has been chosen by CNN to be a mouthpiece to try to destroy Donald Trump, whereas the governor of Puerto Rico, who is a Democrat as well, is saying that Trump is doing everything he can. And Trump went out in this huge tweet storm and basically just ripped the San Juan mayor for what she did and for what she said, because she was lying. And so I don't know if I have any more pictures. Here's her picture. It says, "Help us, we're dying, SOS." So the question is, where in the world did you get somebody to print you up a T-shirt?
Yeah.
And
from what we understand from all of the actual people that you can take their word for it, they are getting supplies and they are being helped, and they need more help. There's lots, as individuals, we can be donating and things like that, but still, the U.S. government really is doing what they can.
They're doing everything they can. Another little piece of this I wanted to let you know. There was a man, his name was Oscar Lopez, and before Muslim terrorists, they were Puerto Rican, Cuban, communist terrorists. And he was the leader of a group that is behind a series of bombings and destruction. And he was in prison. And he actually got 15 years onto his prison sentence for organizing a jailbreak that wasn't successful, but they were going to come in like A-Team style or something, and with a helicopter and blow up, with all, with the machine guns and everything. This man, Oscar Lopez, is a terrorist. And this year, he was let go in May, early, because Obama commuted his sentence and pardoned him.
Fascinating.
And this, and the mayor, the San Juan mayor, was one of the people who pushed for his release, along with Bernie Sanders. And this is Oscar Lopez's daughter, who has won almost $200,000 in contracts from Carmen Cruz, who is the San Juan mayor.
Wow.
So I just wanted to point out that she is a communist, and that she is a liar. And that's probably the best thing I can do. Here she is with, "Help us, we're dying" T-shirts, telling us things like that. So Donald Trump says that Puerto Rico is getting the help that they need. The mayor, the neighboring mayor of this woman, who's actually friends with the woman, says that the San Juan mayor is playing politics. She's AWOL at the meetings that they're holding. That he actually, this mayor praises Trump and says they're doing a lot of work. So I was kind of disturbed when I watched her thing.
We all were.
It blew up.
Did you guys see that with us on Friday?
Yeah. So I wanted to point that out. The people in Puerto Rico are getting the help that they need. Our government's doing everything that they can, and CNN and the mainstream media are trying to make it out to be something crazy.
Right. So that's going to wrap up our European, UK. We went to South America. I mean, we've been, not South America, but we've been to, you know, south of us. We've covered everything. We've been everywhere today. So around the world in an hour and 45 minutes with, or an hour and a half with Leah and Michelle and Resistance Chicks. I want to thank you guys for being with us. Thank the moderators. Will was here for a while. Kelly, Gary. I'm not sure if I saw anybody else. So we're going to get going. We have doggies that have to go potty. Or otherwise, I would read more of your comments, but we're behind for today. But sing Rule Britannia. No, we're not singing that today. I don't think we even have a time for a song today. Do we? Britannia, Britannia rules the waves. Okay, no. Song for Sunday. I don't have a song for Sunday. I've got nothing.
Sorry, you know,
Mom is saying sing a song.
If we have a chance, we might come back later on tonight. I don't think we have a song.
Maybe.
Yeah.
All right. So if you want a song, you're gonna have to come back later. No. Okay. All right, so we're going to sign off. This is Leah and Michelle for Resistance Chicks, where it is not just a conspiracy theory.
If it's a truth.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Mass Faith 3 and Resistance Chicks. Ring that little bell for notifications. Find us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. We love you. God loves you. God bless. Share these on your social media pages. And like Leah said, possibly we'll come back tonight, if not tomorrow, and give you more updates on the stuff that we kind of didn't have the details for. I'm sure there will be more on the terrorist attacks and whatnot.
Stabbing.
There's not been a bomb. No, there was no bomb. Oh,
stabbing.
Worth a look. Justin was here too. So for our moderators, thank you. Thank you guys for the comments. Like I said, when it comes to Catalonia, all comments are welcome, okay? Because we don't have all the information, so it's okay. Both sides, we want to hear it because we're not settled on an opinion yet either. So, all right, you guys, be blessed this Sunday, and thank you for joining us, as always.
Yes.